Which one is it?
Legislation guarantees timely delivery of full paychecks to active duty military members. When we get into the continuing resolution, and they're talking about holding back funds there, do you have any premise of how you're going to vote on that bill?
Well, I can tell you right now, it's perfectly clear. It should be a timely basis. One of the things we tried to do in the CR was the military told us, you know, you can't run a military this way. It also said that we had agreed to a budget. And then we had Secretary of Gates, whether you like him or not, trying to extort an additional $8 billion from that program. Otherwise, it would have been moved as a separate bill, but it was used as a pawn. Whether you agree with the military, but when you're across the country in 4 theaters, and I always say 4 theaters because you have your National Guard troops on our border, and it is considered a theater, you can't do that to the military. We tried to do that, folks. We tried to move that forward. But trying to raise another $8 billion on there, that's why it had to go with something else. That's why you saw the CR. And if that CR didn't pass, yeah, it's paltry to another question. Taking $44 billion, it's not even stopping the nosebleed. But we did accomplish something. Before this class came in 2012, we were talking about spending. How much more we were going to spend. Today, even by the president is talking about cutting. Because whether that number's right or wrong, in big or nothing, it's still big. All of us will acknowledge it's somewhere close to that. That's our bill. We ran it up. We all hold a credit card. That's what we have to do it. So on that bill, we will read the bills. We read every bill because sometimes languages on fancy titles aren't the same thing that's actually in the bill. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm Chris Ford, North Carolina.
Hi, Chris. Way out here from North Carolina.
My question is about the weight that you mentioned earlier at the beginning. I think that cutting is fine as long as it's weight. Peter Graves mentioned in the 80s under Reagan that the government was making 60% of every dollar that they get. If we could find that weight, you said Congress has stuff trying to find it. I mean, earlier in the presentation you said we can't find where this weight is coming from. Well, in your office, there's a step you got to put the TV set up. That's an example of cutting redundancy right there. And I figured if we cut 60% out of what we're spending, and it's all waste, we're running an efficient machine, and nobody loses a job that's worth something. That's what we ought to be focusing on, is that waste. What would we be doing about that? You said earlier that we can't find it. So how do we go about finding it?
Okay, well, we can find some of it, and let's go through one of the actual committee hearings that we had with the Securities Exchange Commission. We ought to all be looking at that one, okay? Because we had Chairman Shapiro in. Okay, let's talk about what transpired with Chairman Shapiro. We had a guy by the name of Bernie Madoff that ripped off a bunch of people, okay? And so we were going to investigate this. No, this story is true. I can't tell it any better than this. There was a lead attorney there that was in presence in the Securities Exchange Commission that saw and heard the whistleblowers coming forward on Madoff. He left. He went into the private sector to make money. He then came back to the Security Exchange under Shapiro. He went to her and said, listen, you're asking me to deal with Madoff. I might have a conflict. I actually made money off of Madoff through my mom, through 2 accounts. Okay, what do you think Ms. Shapiro did? Nothing. This gentleman, this attorney, actually put together a plan. It was rejected by the trustee, thank God, because he would have profited from that. At the same time at the Security Exchange Commission, you had a number of employees, over 30 I know for a fact, that were watching pornography during their time on the job on their government computers. How many got fired? 0. There's frost, waste, and abuse. That's just one idea. And I want to give you a statistic. This just came out from the Phoenix Center Policy Bulletin from some really good economists. Now, I have to read this to you so you understand what a value of one policymaker or bureaucrat means to you. On an average, eliminating the job of a single regulator grows the American economy by $6.2 million and nearly 100 private sector jobs annually. Conversely, every $1 million increase in the regulatory budget costs the economy 420 private sector jobs.
Wow.
The one thing I can tell you that I've gone from this area to Show Low, to Pinal County, to the Navajo Nation, is the federal government is impeding jobs. We need the federal government, but it has to be a nimble, more reactive government. But what they're doing is impeding. Check out your Forest Service. Check out BLM. All of it. BIA, Native Americans have come to me and said, listen, get the BIA out of the way. They're restricting our recovery. They're restricting us in the way we learn how to use our work. It's the federal government. We have to have some, but we're in a balancing act. And we've turned a whole different way. Yes, Joe?
Hi, my name is Joe Powell. I'm a resident of Sedona. Thank you for coming to talk to us. To point out to all present the difference between Paul and his predecessor as far as meeting the public openly. I'm only 76, though I haven't paid as long as the lady there in Social Security. I will say that the dollars I have now given back, the money that was taken from me, are much smaller than the dollars that were taken from me. It's a way of reducing my pay. My Medicare cost has gone up. My Social Security has not. And my private insurance, which I pay for, out of work that I did over 55 years, is going up $4,500 this year, thanks to Democrats for the last 4 years in Congress. Now, I want to talk about something else.
Okay.
Paul, you mentioned something that concerns me, and this gentleman over here alluded to it, and that's the business of the State Department Army. During the campaign, Citizen Obama said, I saw it on television, that he wants a domestic military force separately funded for the purpose of suppressing domestic unrest. The crowd, having never heard of Adolf Hitler and his SS, cheered. Would this move on Obama's part to start moving the military into something that he controls through his own Secretary of State be the first step in creating the domestic military force which we know he wants?
Well, the problem is it's never been done before. And yes, Joe, you're right. We've got a bunch of questions. Both Republican and Democrat and Independent are asking questions like, how is this going to work? What the heck's going on with this? Give us some details. The details aren't there. And so I'm as dark as you are in regards to that plan. When we heard it, there was a gasp. And it came all the way across the panel saying, excuse me? What? You got to be kidding me. So we don't know the whole full ramifications of it, but I'm here to share that with you, okay? That's what you have to acknowledge, is that here we got an issue, and it's poignant that we have to address this and find out what's going on. That's not going to be my vote to say anything of the above. We're in the Constitution. We have 3 things to suffice. First of all, where is it in the Constitution that allows him to do that? There's nothing, no application whatsoever. Number 2 is, did it make the government smaller? Absolutely not. Did it create jobs? No. Those are the premonitions that we have to start looking at. And so I don't speak for anybody. I speak for Paul. I don't like speaking for anybody because I don't know their intentions. But from my standpoint, that's wrong. What's happening there is wrong. And that's why I want to make sure you hear that fact.